Hi, I'm Johnny. You're watching A View to a Grill, and today it's charcoal chimney starters. Which one is the best for your money? Now, I went to Amazon, got some name brand charcoal chimney starters, and wanted to compare them for you. So today we are going to take a look at each one individually and test them all at the same time as a group. Let's get started with the Kingsford charcoal chimney starter. First off, we're going to take a look at the handle. The handle is made out of some kind of composite material, some type of plastic. On the back side, it's a two-piece screwed in, and right behind it is a heat deflector shield. It's just kind of loose and fits with these notches right on to the handle. The handle itself is also screwed in. You can see these Phillips head screws, and right inside is a little hex bolt. That's pretty good. If you needed to replace that, if it got burnt out, rusted, or whatever, looks like it's easily replaceable. Now, it's made out of one sheet of metal with rivets keeping these overlapping ends together. If we remove the label, you see that it only has vent holes on the bottom. No vent holes on the body. It has a pretty sturdy area that holds up the charcoal, and overall the body is really sturdy, but the handle kind of has some flex to it. To get the charcoal out, you'll have to pour it out. There is no auto release of the bottom that's holding up the charcoal. Now there's a lot of flex there, and I'm just really not applying that much pressure on it. It has 1, 2, 3, 4 rivets holding up. I'm just going to call it a charcoal shelf because I really don't know what the technical term is for that. Let's take a look at the next one. Now this is the Char Griller charcoal chimney starter. Handle, again, some type of composite plastic. It has 2 screws fastening it to the handle structure. Now you'll notice that this one does have a quick release handle where if you pull the trigger, the charcoal shelf collapses. Now I did have to put that together, and it's put together by these 2 little clips. Not difficult to install at all. To get the shelf back to where it's supposed to be, you just pull the trigger and it releases, and now it's secure again. It has 2 rivets fastening the handle structure to the body of the chimney starter. Not as much flex as the Kingsford chimney starter. The heat deflector is larger than the Kingsford, and the overall size of it is larger than the Kingsford. It's pretty sturdy. Has 4 rivets inside where the metal joins together. Now there is less overlapping metal than on the Kingsford. The gauge of metal seems to be the same. It has a row of notched vents on the bottom. Seems like it has more airflow on the bottom than the Kingsford. Now if we remove the label, you see that this does have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This one has 7 columns of about 1/4-inch holes as vents all the way around the chimney starter. That's a pretty nice chimney starter. Okay, let's take a look at the next one. Next we have the Pit Boss charcoal chimney starter. Right away I noticed that the capacity is smaller. Seems like maybe the smallest one so far. Okay, so the Kingsford would slide right over the Pit Boss. but the Pit Boss is just a tiny bit taller. So I don't know if the capacity would be the same or not. We'll hang on to this one for a second. The Pit Boss also has some type of a composite handle, and if you notice, it too has a quick release system. This one is activated by this lever. Pretty easy to use. So the lever is fastened with one Phillips head screw. The handle, so far this handle is the sturdiest. Yeah, really using a lot of pressure here to get it to flex at all. It also has a very large heat deflector. Look how big that is. The heat deflector itself is pretty sturdy because it's got some rivets that fasten it to the body of the chimney starter. Now the handle is screwed on where the metal overlaps with just 2 rivets, and then the rest of it is fastened with some smaller rivets. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 rivets that are used to fasten this together where the metal overlaps. Along the bottom where there's some notched ventilation, looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 ventilation notches on the bottom. And if we remove the label, you can see that there are these long notches, or punched out notches for ventilation so that the charcoal can get some air all the way up. That's pretty long. As far as sturdiness, this one seems to be the most well put together of the 3 so far. The only question I have would be the quick release. Okay. It has this, seems like the gauge of this rod, I don't know. It should be enough to last a long time, I would hope. It's pretty thick. It's pretty impressive, actually. This Pit Boss is put together really well. I like it. Now let's talk about the good old Weber. This is the one that I personally use. I have several of them. Seems to be the largest of them all. Let's take a quick look. Definitely larger. Definitely larger. Definitely larger. The Weber has this cone wire rack on the inside. The charcoal in this area is actually lower than here, the peak of the cone. It has by far the most notches and most ventilation along the bottom. The heat deflector shield is large, but unlike on the Pit Boss, it is not reinforced along this area by attaching it to the body. Although the handle doesn't have as much flex, as you can see, as the Char Griller or the Kingsford. Now it also comes with this secondary handle. On the Weber website, it shows a guy pouring the charcoal like this. I use this handle to hang it up on stuff. That's what I use it for. I've never used this to help me pour the charcoal. Number one, that thing's going to be really hot because it doesn't have any insulation here. Okay? So if you're going to use this, you'll definitely have to use some type of glove or a towel to hold it. It looks exactly like the handle on the lid of my Weber kettle. And there's the handle. Same two-piece construction. So there you go. I've never noticed that before. Overall, it's a very sturdy chimney starter. Now, it's not as sturdy as the Pit Boss, but it is sturdier than the other two. Now let's go ahead and remove the label. So you'll notice that there is a column of ventilation holes that go all the way around the Weber. In total, there are 8 columns of ventilation holes. And as you saw when we put all 4 of these side by side, this one, the Weber chimney starter, by far has the most capacity. Where the metal overlaps, it only has 2 rivets. The 2 rivets that fasten the handle to the body are the only 2 rivets keeping this continuous piece of sheet metal together. The Weber has no auto release, so you will have to pour this one out. We've gone through all 4 of the charcoal chimney starters. Now we're going to test them. We're going to be using Kingsford Blue. I'm going to figure out which one of the chimney starters has the smallest amount of capacity, and then use the same number of charcoal briquettes in each chimney starter. We're going to check how well that ventilation works, which one ashes over first with the same amount of briquettes. We're going to see how hot the handles get, and then we're going to see how easy they are to use. How easy is it to pour out the lit charcoal briquettes? Okay, let's get started. We're going to set each one up with 2 sheets of crumbled up newspaper. I left the Kingsford for last because that's the one we're going to use as our baseline. We will see how many coals it holds and put that many coals in the rest. I got 63 coals in each one. I just wanted to show you what they look like filled up with 63 coals each. So this is the Pit Boss, Kingsford, Weber, and the Char Grill. Okay, let's light them up. Kick the tires, start the fires. Through the wonderment of video editing, I will be able to discern the time each one was lit due to my editor showing me the time of the filming. Char Griller, smoking heavy. Starting to see a little flame in the Weber, and it's actually starting to burn a little clearer now. Kingsford, still smoking. Pit Boss, still smoking. My Osmo has been on a continuous record this whole time. Now we can see that the Weber, third from the left, is going to be the obvious winner. The Char Griller has some flames coming out of it now and is pretty much clearing up. The real question is, who's going to be third? Pit Boss or Kingsford? If we take a look, lots of flames coming out of the Weber. You can just start seeing some coming out on the Char Griller, but still just tons of smoke coming out of the Pit Boss and the Kingsford. As you can still see, we have been running, according to the video clock on my Osmo, for about 32 minutes. Now that time does include what it took for me to count out all of the charcoal briquettes. Looking down the line, Char Broiler, Weber, Kingsford, Pit Boss. We're going to call it on the Weber, and let's go ahead and get a temperature reading So that is 149 degrees. Really too hot to handle. Okay, well, I mean, it is what it is. It was easy. But as you can see on my pour, one charcoal got left behind. Shake it free. We're going to go ahead and call the Char Griller done. Let's see how hot the handle is. Looks like it's settled on 147. If you were right next to your grill and you were going to pour it quickly, this would work. But it's too hot for me to carry it to my grill. So I'm going to go ahead and use this towel. Okay, that was actually easy, but honestly it was kind of scary. I am going to call the pit boss done. Let's see how hot the handle is. Settled on 128, not bad. Let's see if I can handle this. Huh, nah, that's still too hot for me to carry all the way over to my pit, which is over there. Okay, easy to use. Still, oh look, one got left behind. Still had to pour it out. Man, that's a lot of charcoal in my pit. Now we're going to see if my table catches on fire. Kingsford, all alone. Let's take a closer look on the inside. All right, Kingsford. Let me go ahead and call you done also. Now, to me, you had the worst heat deflector. Let's see how hot you are. Settled on 133. Pours easy. The pit is hot. My table is not on fire. We're going to go ahead and close all this up, close the vents, and conclude the video. Whew, man, you got hot. So there you have it. Hopefully, a very thorough comparison of 4 well-known brand names. But what's the most important for you? Is it how fast can I start cooking? Well, you saw it. Weber wins hands down. Is it ease of use? Do you like those quick release handles that the Pit Boss had and that the Char Griller had? I don't know. Whatever you decide. Hopefully, I've given you some information where you can make the purchase that best suits your needs. I'm Johnny. You've been watching A View to a Grill, which this has probably been the most fun that I've had making a video. So we'll see you next time on A View to a Grill.